So. Dann laber ich jetzt auch nicht mehr lang, sondern hau rein. Also. Letztes Mal hatte ich ja hier das Problem, dass ich nicht wusste, was ich machen soll, weil ich dachte die ganze Zeit, es geht auf jeden Fall um by the time the murder, bla bla bla. Aber ich habe dann, nachdem ich den Stream beendet habe und quasi aufgegeben hatte, hat mir das doch keine Ruhe gelassen. Ich habe irgendwie so 10, 15 Minuten später das Spiel nochmal aufgemacht und weiter rumüberlegt. Dann kam ich auf die Idee, vielleicht war diese letzte Aussage, die ich jetzt schon wieder aus Versehen übersprungen habe, nur dazu da, einem eben auf die Idee zu bringen, dass das nicht passt. Genau, die Info ist ja dann dazugekommen und mit der Info geht man dann zurück zu dem hier. I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Und weil wir jetzt wissen, dass sie behauptet, es war nachdem der Schnee aufgehört hat, können wir hier den Wetterbericht präsentieren. You claim that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred. But I'm sorry, Iris. That just isn't possible. What? This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m. But you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time. Why do you say that? Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and had caught on fire. What did you say? The bridge? It was on fire? Sie, jetzt wollte ich schon selber hier Englisch sprechen. Seht ihr, wenn sie das wirklich getan hätte, dann wüsste sie das.
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it? It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be. It looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
Order, order, order.
The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right, the inner temple was already totally cut off from the outside world. There's no way you could have crossed the bridge. Body or nobody.
Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court.
Ja, eigentlich wäre das jetzt längst mal fällig, oder? Zu sagen, das war jetzt so viel Gelüge, du kannst jetzt runter, raus aus dem Zeugenstand. Aber da haben sie es in Ace Attorney ja eh nicht so mit. Ich meine, klar, das muss halt auch so sein, sonst kann das Spielprinzip ja nicht funktionieren. Wenn du jeden Zeugen bei der ersten Lüge direkt wegen Meineid vom Zeugenstand runterzehrst, dann funktioniert es vom Spielprinzip, wie gesagt, halt nicht. Da muss man dann einfach mitleben, dass das so ein bisschen komisch ist.
You have anything to say for yourself?
Er wieder mit seinem Kaffee. The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Außer man hat ganz viele verschiedene Zeugen, aber hättest du Bock, für jede gefundene Lüge einen neuen Zeugen zu erfinden als Autor, dann wäre natürlich auch irgendwie auf Dauer ein bisschen anstrengend auch. Ich meine, deswegen ist es aber ja auch ganz gut, dass Ace Attorney so einen gewissen Comedy-Aspekt mit drin hat. Deswegen kann man dann immer leichter drüber hersehen. Wenn das jetzt irgendwie so total realistisch todernst wäre, wäre das natürlich ziemlich seltsam.
Oh man. Me? How dare you?
Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now. Squat? The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course, but...
Whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Elise Junim was discovered at the Hazakura Temple courtyard. And second, the head nun, Sister Bikini, witnessed Iris desecrating Elise Junim's body. He makes a good point on both accounts. That's right. I'm not lying.
What are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night, so my memory is still somewhat hazy. Yeah, right. You have stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of that night is hazy?
Objection!
It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, Zeit, maybe you can explain this for the court. What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burned down. But somehow the body traveled across the bridge and was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of perfect explanation for this little magic trick. Well, not exactly, no. I know there must be some other way she got across that burnout bridge, but unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth.
It looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation.
You see what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth.
All right then, witness, let's hear your testimony once more.
About what, Your Honor?
You've admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Will this be her final testimony? Moving the body. Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body, so I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge? Ich meine...
So it was just a misunderstanding, I see.
This is a photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. It was taken on the morning after the incident. It certainly was burned to a...
It certainly was burned to a crisp, and one of the suspension wires even snapped. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall.
Final testimony 7, genau.
Clearly it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition.
Dusky Bridge photo added to the court record. Unless I do something to discredit this testimony, it's going to be deemed as the truth, and Maya will be accused of murder. Tried. I'm only going to say it one more time. It is only human to err, and only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. Ja, was wollte damit jetzt sagen?
Alright,
Jetzt wollte ich auch schon Mr. Tried sagen.
Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination.
Okay, moving the body. Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. Yes, but if the snow had already stopped when the incident took place, I couldn't have crossed the bridge, naturally. Yeah, but I think it's just like Mr. Godot said. The body did make it across somehow. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess. But you seemed to be quite sure of yourself when you gave your testimony. You said you were sure the snow had already stopped. I'm terribly sorry. I was wrong. Does she really think an apology is going to get her off the hook? Das versuche ich auch, wenn ich mal vor Gericht stehe und Meineid begehen sollte, was ich hoffentlich nie tue. Ach, es tut mir leid, das habe ich mich wohl geirrt. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? I mean, yes. This is no joke. You're giving sworn testimony in a court of law. Well, Mr. Wright, let me ask you a question. Do you remember what the weather was like 1 week ago today? Well, naturally it was, You see, it's not that easy to remember, is it? But if it had been some kind of special day, I would have remembered. For example, it was pouring rain on the day of my elementary school graduation.
Objection!
No one wants to hear about your childhood traumas, Zeit. What? By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. If you insist on obsessing over that one statement, let's see proof. Show some evidence that the body somehow crossed the bridge while it was on fire. Oh, da habe ich mal genau das Richtige für dich. Are you saying there's a way to cross a burning bridge? Wir haben noch dieses schöne Bild. A dead body flying over a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility.
What?
Huh. You're saying it's possible. Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen.
Preposterous. Who is it? Who is this witness?
I can't chicken out here. I've got to keep on the attack and go, go, go. Miss Elise Junim's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice. Da muss er sich aber wirklich ganz schön, wie soll ich sagen? Das hat bestimmt eine Menge Anstrengung gekostet, ihn so zu bezeichnen. Brilliant and highly gifted apprentice, Lawrence Junim.
Brilliant? Highly gifted.
Apprentice? Remember what he said in his testimony. Genau, hat vertrottelt falsch geschrieben. That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall. And that's when he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before. It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night. Ja, wie soll das denn gehen? Ich frage mich, ob im Chat schon irgendjemand gewisse Ideen hat, wie wir dieses Rätsel lösen können. Das weiß ich nämlich leider noch. Das habe ich nicht vergessen.
Are you serious? Today is not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your argument?
Uh-oh. The judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket. Huh. Well tried. There's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old, does this sketch prove anything? Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm going to prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Godot say that?
Alright then, let's hear the defense's theory. What exactly is this sketch trying to show?
I don't think old Whiskerface is going to forgive any more mistakes. Moment. Alright, Phoenix, look carefully and think it over. This sketch drawn by Lawrence Dunham is... So, das ist jetzt ein bisschen, gar nicht mal so nett, sondern ein bisschen gemein, da erstmal zu wissen, was man hier antworten soll. Ich hätte nämlich zuerst gedacht, exactly what happened, weil wir wollen jetzt argumentieren, dass die Leiche da drüber geflogen ist. Also sagen wir exactly what happened. Ist aber nicht ganz richtig. Of course the victim was flying through the air. You can see it right there in the sketch. Whoosh!
You know, you're starting to remind me of yesterday's witness.
What? That was the last thing I wanted to hear.
Do you have any evidence that the victim flew through the air?
Just so you know, we haven't discovered a giant human catapult at the inner temple yet.
I wish they had.
Ich meine, ja, das würde alles erklären. Even if you're a lousy lawyer, at least you're 1 cup's worth of entertainment. I think we should skip the penalty this time. Must be some way. I just know it. There must be a way to use Larry's sketch to show the truth of what happened. Ja, so.
Alright then. Witness will now return to her testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Wie, da gibt's nicht mal ein Penalty für? Ah, okay. Ja gut, dann kann ich auch eben laden. Also. Look carefully and think it over, sagt er bereits. So, nein, das nicht. Immer klicke ich das Falsche an. So. Hier brennt's überall. Und, ach, man sieht meinen Mauszeiger jetzt nicht. Nach oben links und oben rechts gehen so 2 Dinger weg, ne? Und wo ist denn jetzt? Ah, da. Hier sieht man eher nach unten links und unten rechts 2 Dinger weggehen. Wobei die hier halt irgendwann wieder nach oben gehen, ne? Diese Suspension-Dinger. Aber Larry hat ja von da unten nur einen Teil davon gesehen. Das heißt, dass da oben müsste eigentlich unten sein. Das ganze Bild müsste man einmal umdrehen. Ansonsten, wenn man es nicht umdrehen würde, wäre es a complete contradiction, so wie wir es jetzt halten. Something is obviously funny about this sketch.
I'm no art critic, but even I can see that.
No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Lawrence Jr. stated it over and over that this sketch was exactly as he saw it. However, if we are to believe his testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it. It contradicts reality? Huh. This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to that finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Tried. So what exactly contradicts reality as we know it? Na, die Dinger hier, ne? So was hat die Brücke oben nämlich nicht? It's this wire connected to the bridge.
The wire?
Huh. Is that the thing that contradicts reality? Mm-hmm. It is indeed. Then show us the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Finding. Show us something that will point out how the scratch contradicts reality. Da. Komm ein bisschen damit durcheinander, dass beide Seiten voll sind sozusagen. Da sieht man irgendwie so schwer, wo der Anfang, wo Seite 1 und Seite 2 ist. Das ist es, oder? Ja.
It's a photo of Dusky Bridge, correct?
Yes. Now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. But on the actual Dusky Bridge...
Jumping Jehoshaphat.
was soll das denn sein? The wires are below the guard wires.
What? Order! This sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Or perhaps he just drew it wrong. Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong. With someone like Lawrence, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility, but then that begs the question. Why did he make a mistake? What was the reason? Are you saying you know the answer to that? Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Lawrence was doing when he witnessed this event. He was in Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never going to come. He waited and waited and finally he laid down. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame. Now ponder what sort of position Lawrence must have been in at the time. He was lying on his back, which is why he remembered the scene the way he did.
He was lying on his back? I can't see how it relates.
But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down. No way. Lawrence Jr. witnessed the event while he was lying on his back, face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down.
So then, this sketch should actually...
I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Lawrence Jr.'s sketch is like this. This is how it should actually look. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge, it was actually swinging below. That's right, just like a pendulum.
Ridiculous. Order!
All the things to say.
A pendulum?
The bridge was burning to a crisp. There was no way to get across it. But if the body had been found at the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across to the other side, and a pendulum was the only way to get it done.
Objection!
Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the inner temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds right. In order to cover that distance with a pendulum, you'd need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you have to plan ahead. The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident, so it doesn't make sense that the culprit would have prepared the rope beforehand. So then, they didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of them. What? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there.
In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum?
Oh, dem stimmt gleich nochmal das Bild, da hat man das auch drauf gesehen.
The meaning of this is?
If you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard.
Wow. This is one of the wires from the bridge.
When the lightning struck the bridge... when the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Elise Dunham's body. Holy shit. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. Huh. Weiß nicht, ob das jetzt hilft, aber okay. Rex.
Mr. Godot.
Wie viel ist denn da in der Tasse drin?
It seems that Mr. Godot is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high. So I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all.
Objection!
Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Try it. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung over like a pendulum? Ich hätte jetzt zuerst mal gesagt, dass das hier, weil sie halt auf der anderen Seite war, ne? Aber ist das wirklich... Oh, Moment. Das würde doch noch viel mehr Sinn machen. Also ich hätte jetzt gesagt, das ergibt auch irgendwie Sinn, weil auf dem Foto sieht man, dass sie auf der anderen Seite ist. Wobei man dann immer noch sagen könnte, vielleicht ist sie irgendwie, ja, anders als über diese Pendel-Variante rübergekommen. Aber das Ding wurde doch bei Dusky Bridge gefunden, und zwar auf der anderen Seite. Dann müsste das doch eigentlich viel eher. Ich probiere es mal. Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Das sieht man auch auf der, haben wir auf der Karte gesehen, die wir bekommen haben. Das wurde auch mal angesprochen, als wir da waren. Looking at the map, we can see it's the one that was in front of the inner temple.
So then, that was the spot where the criminal...
Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here, it would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point.
Did you say drop?
Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank. What? What makes you think something like that happened? Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance. What kind of evidence? Take a look at this. Ich wollte gerade sagen, muss ich den Autopsy Report präsentieren, aber offenbar macht er das jetzt automatisch. Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death.
10 feet, huh?
That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose. Huh. That's... Yes, this blood-stained amethyst crystal is the one that came off of Miss Elise Dunham's staff. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found.
Indeed. I believe it is already marked on this overhead map.
Genau da.
The crystal was found.
Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed.
This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You have provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive.
Was war das gerade für ein Geräusch? Ach so, das war das Geräusch. I thought this cold coffee might help cool you down.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot?
That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, tried. But you forgot about one thing.
Oh, and what would that be?
The aroma. Huh? The coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma. The rest of the court doesn't speak coffeenese. Can you elaborate a bit more? If the criminal had sent the body to the other side, like you say, then naturally there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it.
An accomplice?
The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Tried? Naja, ich vermute ja immer noch, dass Iris die ganze Zeit drüben war. Also nicht drüben, also drüben, es gibt jetzt zwei drüben. Ich meine, Iris war ja wahrscheinlich die ganze Zeit im Inner Tempel, nicht im Inner... Nochmal. Ich denke mir, Iris war in dem Haupttempel-Dings. Also nicht da, wo Maya war. Wäre meine Vermutung, dass Iris überhaupt nie auf der anderen Seite war. Und auf der anderen Seite war aber Pearl. Pearl und Maya waren da. Und womöglich hat Pearls halt wirklich die Dahlia gechannelt. Und die Dahlia hat auf der anderen Seite den ganzen Kram gemacht. Heißt das dann vielleicht, dass Iris auf der Haupttempelseite mitgemacht hat? Aber dann hätte sie ja eigentlich wissen müssen, dass die Brücke gebrannt hat. Das hat sie ja vorhin tatsächlich scheinbar überrascht. What do you have to say about that, Tried?
Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do.
Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice. Muss ich jetzt jemanden aussuchen?
Very well then, if you please, Mr. Wright. Who was the person that received the body on the Hazakura Temple side?
Oh Gott. Ja, dann muss es ja Iris sein, weil jemand anders wird mir jetzt auch nicht einfallen. Ich meine, wir waren da drüben noch, die Schwester Bikini. Das glaube ich nun wirklich nicht. Ja, Larry wohl auch nicht. Die war gar nicht da. Mir fällt jetzt einfach mal überhaupt niemand anders ein, der es hätte sein können. Phoenix, ich glaube Phoenix kann ich nicht mal. Ja, Phoenix kann ich nicht mal auswählen. Ich probiere es mal mit Iris. It can only be you, Sister Iris. Huh? But I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. Stimmt, das kommt ja auch noch dazu. Sie hatte als einzige den Schlüssel und es ist ja nun mal Tatsache, dass da Spuren waren. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini could never pick up a body like that. Ach, das habe ich nicht mal bedacht, aber ja, das spricht auch dagegen, dass Sister Bikini es war. You're the only one that could have managed it. Tried. Were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath. I haven't forgotten, but I have you, Mr. Godot. This witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim.
Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in two different places at the same time.
Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony? Mention what? The pendulum, of course. Using this sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnt-out bridge, which means it's now a fact that this occurred, something you should have already known. No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about a pendulum. But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help, so you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing, unless you're not really Iris to begin with. Hold on. Moment mal. Holy shit, also das habe ich jetzt nicht mehr gewusst. Ist das etwa... Oh mein Gott. Oh mein Gott, ich krieg Angst. Ich krieg Angst. What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright?
What kind of nonsense is this? You're saying this witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple?
Objection!
Are you serious, Wright? You mean this woman is? There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach this whole trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is... Oh my god. Is it her? I never thought I'd have to utter your name again, let alone see you. It's been a long time. Dahlia Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
Sister Iris had a twin sister, and you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
That name rings some bells, distant bells, but bells nonetheless.
Huh. It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh yes, I remember now. The case, 5 years ago.
My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence.
The honor is all mine.
No, the honor's all mine. But according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says her execution was carried out last month.
So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom.
What?
Also ich finde ja, der Richter sollte nach so vielen Verhandlungen mit Phoenix auch langsam mal irgendwas über die Kudain-Leute gelernt haben.
Order!
Wait a moment. How can you... My sister? She's already dead. What kind of...
You of all people should already understand. After all, the blood of the master of the Kudain channeling technique flows within that body.
Kudain channeling technique? Where have I heard that?
Das hast du ja auch nur 10.000 Mal im Gerichtssaal gesehen, wenn ich da war. Kannst dich ja ruhig mal dran erinnern. That's right, you're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. Da fragt sich jetzt aber natürlich als nächstes, wessen? Ist das Maya? Ist es Pearl? Oder ist es vielleicht sogar Iris, die Dahlia channelt? Ich habe gerade ganz vergessen, ob Iris überhaupt irgendwelche Channeling-Kräfte hatte oder nicht. Ich glaube, die hatte keine. Bin mir jetzt nicht mehr sicher. Der hat sich dem verwohnt. Ich kann es mir fast schon vorstellen, dass der überhaupt noch da praktizieren darf, ist auch ein Wunder. What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was. Well, if you're going to put things that way, then yes.
Objection!
We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens. Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions, at least the ones that are still left.
What's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay, and part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple. Two of them. Even the time of the channeling was planned out. As soon as you hear the lights out bell, in other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time.
That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris.
And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne.
Objection!
Do you even know what you're saying, Trot? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business. Yes, it's true that you found plans to talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris. What? What? Wieso? Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. It was later that the body was moved by a pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far? Yes? After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hazakura Temple's main hall. There they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I suppose. Can't deny any of that.
Puh, thank goodness. Naja, nicht ganz. Die ist doch einmal kurz entkommen. Hier, als Edgeworth auf sie aufpassen sollte, ist sie weggelaufen. Und dann haben wir sie da wiedergefunden, aber vielleicht ist zwischendrin getauscht worden. It looks like he's finally convinced.
But something still seems off, way off. I'm still not convinced that the Iris here is the same one from the other night. Huh. I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous. Like the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places.
Switch places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial.
Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia, which means they must have switched places somewhere.
Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested at Hazakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne?
Ja, als sie weggelaufen ist. Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance.
Oh, explain yourself.
Yesterday, for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown.
Unknown? What do you mean?
What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised.
Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move about freely like that?
I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... Ja, das kann ja jetzt nur Edgeworth sein. Vor allem, wo sich noch entschuldigt.
This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it?
Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not?
An earthquake?
Earthquake! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, the inner temple. This kind of tremor might.
How could I have? She fled. She escaped. We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. Wenn das wahr ist, dann hat Phoenix auch die echte Dahlia gefragt. Was, also wir haben doch am Ende von dem Gespräch mit angeblichen Iris hat Phoenix auch noch gefragt, hey, was hat deine Schwester eigentlich zu dem Typen, über den Typen gesagt, den sie damals gedatet hat. Und dann meinte sie doch, she hated his guts. Wenn das aber tatsächlich Dahlia war, hat sie das im Grunde dann selber gesagt. Das würde sogar irgendwie passen, weil ich fand das so uncharakteristisch für Iris. Selbst, dumme Haare, wisst ihr, selbst wenn dem so wäre, die Iris, die wir da kennengelernt haben, wäre, glaube ich, viel zu nett gewesen, als dass sie das so gerade heraus gesagt hätte. Die hätte es wahrscheinlich irgendwie ein bisschen blumiger ausgedrückt. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne.
That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling and...
Uh-oh. Be quiet.
It's been a long time, Mr. Judge.
That voice.
Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
Dahlia Hawthorne. And my current profession? Permanently retired.
That's one way to put it. Ha. So you're not going to bother hiding your identity anymore, huh?
Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me.
What is going on here?
Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time, I'll end it for her and for myself. Oh, to be continued. Okay, das war's für heute. Tschüss. Nein.